Welcome everyone to today's exploration, where we delve into the earliest artwork ever created for World of Warcraft from the Archivecraft website. These art pieces offer a unique window into the early stages of the game's development, shedding light on the original visions and ideas that shaped Azeroth. If you find this journey intriguing, don't forget to show your appreciation by liking the video, and be sure to subscribe to the channel for more content. Let's embark on this visual voyage through the archives of World of Warcraft's artistic evolution. In our first image, we're presented with a concept for Scarlet Monastery, revealing that the area around the monastery was initially intended to be sunnier. This suggests a different atmospheric tone compared to the final release. Additionally, we notice a mention of the library, a part of the monastery that made it into the game. What stands out is the idea of a Crusader's Round Table, a feature planned for the monastery that ultimately didn't make it into the final dungeon. This concept hints at intriguing narrative possibilities and design choices that evolved during the development process. In the next image, we're treated to a view of Darkshire and a mysterious location named Emerald Paradise, which intriguingly doesn't exist in the final version of the game. The speculation arises that it could be an alternate name for the Emerald Dream, a realm of great significance in Warcraft lore. However, the specificity of the term opens up the possibility that Emerald Paradise might be a distinct place within the dream. In this image, we potentially glimpse the first ever map created for World of Warcraft. Notably, it suggests that in the early stages, Kalimdor was envisioned to be considerably smaller than its final iteration in the game. The map also hints at ambitious plans for the initial release, with indications of Northrend, Ulduar, Undermine, Nazjatar, Quel'Thalas, and numerous additional locations. The dynamic evolution of the game's geography, with certain areas being held back for later expansions, showcases the iterative nature of game development. In this revised map, we observe a closer resemblance to the final version of the game. However, what stands out are the numerous locations that were initially planned but did not make it into the final release. The inclusion of places like Jadenar, Amberhorn Caverns, Dragon Isles, Tol Barad, Zandalar, Caverns of Time, Emerald Dream, and Outland offers a glimpse into the expansive vision the developers had for the game. Notably, Dire Maul's placement in Eastern Kingdoms in this version of the map adds an intriguing twist to its geographical setting. These insights into the early planning stages illuminate the vast scope of ideas that shape a game's world. In this image, we encounter what appears to be an early version of the World of Warcraft logo, featuring the phrase, "World of Warcraft, into the Maelstrom." What's particularly intriguing is the reference to the Maelstrom, considering that players did not explore this location until the third expansion for the game called the Cataclysm. In this set of images, we are treated to early models for dwarves, night elves, orcs, and humans. These glimpses into the developmental stages of character models provide a fascinating look at the creative process. The evolution of these models from early concepts to the final in-game characters showcases the iterative nature of game design. In this next image, we get a glimpse of an early version of the map for Stormwind City. While the trade district bears a resemblance to the final version, the rest of the city appears to be in entirely different locations. Notably, there's a mention of a neighborhoods area, hinting at the possibility of a planned player housing feature. In this next image, we're presented with concept art for an orc necromancer. The artwork sparks a sense of missed potential, as necromancers never made it into the game as a playable class. The dark and mystical aesthetic of the concept art hints at the intriguing possibilities that could have been introduced with a necromancer class. In this image, we encounter a concept featuring a giant turtle and a turtle submarine. The concept of a turtle submarine suggests an interesting underwater exploration or transportation idea that unfortunately did not make it into the final version of the game. In this image, we encounter concept art for a war turtle, a fascinating idea that seems to have been designed with the ability to shoot harpoons. In this image, we are presented with multiple concepts for ancients dating back to the year 2001. The artwork showcases early ideas and variations for these ancient, mystical tree-like creatures. The evolution of these concepts likely contributed to the final design of ancients in the game. In this image, we encounter a depiction of a phoenix, an enemy type that wasn't introduced to the game until the Burning Crusade expansion. In this image, we are treated to concept art for Swamp of Sorrows. The artwork appears to capture the essence of the swamp environment, mirroring the final version of the zone in the game. The inclusion of tree houses in the concept adds an interesting and potentially immersive element that unfortunately did not make it into the final design. In this image, we are presented with concept art for a crystalline cave and an intriguing, somewhat mysterious face in the ground located in the burning steppes. The presence of such unique elements prompts me to speculate about their intended purpose and significance in the game world. In this image, we are presented with concept art for the Desolus Zone and potentially Maradon Dungeon. The artwork suggests that Desolus was initially envisioned to be even darker than the version that ultimately made it into the final release of the game. In this image, we are presented with concept art for Knight's Hollow, a location in Duskwood. Interestingly, Knight's Hollow bears a striking resemblance to an unmarked grave behind Beggar's Haunt in Duskwood, which in the current game features 2 statues and a waterfall next to the grave. The addition of the unknown soldier at this location occurred during the Cataclysm expansion. In this image, we're presented with early concept art for Karajan, suggesting that the iconic dungeon was originally intended to be included in the final release of the game. The artwork provides a glimpse into the initial design and vision for this mystical and haunted tower. In this image, we are presented with concept art for the Twisting Nether and Outland, suggesting that these realms were originally planned for the final version of the game. However, as we know, Outland was eventually released as the primary setting for the first expansion, the Burning Crusade. In this image, we are presented with concept art for Yggdrasil, Icecrown, and Magic Mountain. The mention of Yggdrasil suggests that it could be the original name for Teldrassil, the Night Elf starting zone. Additionally, it's intriguing to note that Icecrown, a zone famously associated with the Lich King and introduced in the Wrath of the Lich King expansion, was at least considered for the original version of the game. In this image, we are presented with concept art pieces for the Emerald Dream Vision, suggesting that it was likely planned to be a zone of its own. However, the images don't provide specific details about what was intended for this zone. In this image, we encounter a crashed Zeppelin, a scene that can be found in a few locations in the final version of the game. The concept, however, hints at the possibility that it was originally planned to be enterable by players. In this image, we are presented with early concept art for Booty Bay, a location that closely resembles its final version in the game. However, what stands out is the mention of Naga entrances, even though there are no Naga in Booty Bay in the final version. In this image, we are presented with concept art for a gladiator training facility, suggesting an early idea that could have been a unique addition to the final version of the game. The concept hints at the possibility of an arena or a location for gladiator training, adding a dynamic element to the game world. In this image, we encounter concept art for Walgard Hall, which was eventually released in the Wrath of the Lich King expansion. The inclusion of Black Citadel concept art is particularly interesting, as it was initially referred to as Magtrodon's Fortress in Warcraft 3, the Frozen Throne. However, in World of Warcraft, it was retconned to be the Black Temple in Shadowmoon Valley. Additionally, we see concept art for Aquarage, and the differences from the final version of the raid are noticeable. These early concepts offer a glimpse into the evolving ideas and design choices made during the game's development. In this final image, we are presented with an early version of the Dragon Isles, which eventually became its own expansion. The image suggests that this place was originally perhaps intended to have something to do with the old gods, although the specifics remain speculative.
Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you found it informative and enjoyable. If you did, I would really appreciate it if you could take a moment to hit that subscribe button below. Also, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up by hitting the like button if you found it helpful. Your support really means a lot to me, and it helps me create more valuable content like this in the future.